Alright, I am back. Welcome back to the stream. Or part two, however you want to say it. Uh, Today is kind of an anything goes day. I kind of get this way more and more on Mondays, I guess, because you're starting from after the weekend. Really, I want to get started back on the game itself, but I still have to work out some of this stuff, like how am I going to make it more interesting for you guys, right? Now, anybody that's not watching, that's just listening, to you, it probably doesn't matter that much because I speak through the whole thing, and if you're interested in what I'm saying, what I'm talking about, then you'll listen, and that's not a big deal. So, not that I don't want more people to come in and listen. If it's just listening, that's fine too. But I'm focusing on the visual part right now because I think that's mostly what turns people off. They see this text on the screen, they hear something that's kind of boring maybe, and they turn me off. So, what was I doing? Okay, so I was asking ChatGPT give me some ideas of how to make my stream more visually interesting. World map. Okay, so I got that Trizboard. I'm gonna start actually looking at that. Let's actually look at my notifications here. Any notifications? Nope. Did Robert Duvall pass on? Oh, 95. Robert Duvall, the actor. Robert Duvall just died at the age of 95. It's kind of too bad, but at the same time, that's a pretty good long life. That's too bad. You know, there's a thing to me about in this age of wokeness where a lot of the older actors are are dying because they're getting older. Obviously, they're getting older. You know, they not that they wouldn't. It's just that any of the younger, newer actors, there's one or two that I like. Okay, but for the most part, I think most of Hollywood actors are and actresses are kind of scummy, sort of. You know, there's always a few exceptions. There's a few that I like, even though they're not really squeaky clean, But for the most part, most of the actors and actresses will do anything and everything on screen. It doesn't matter what it is, and um, you know, they don't seem to have any morals or principles, and it doesn't matter. You might see them in a kids movie one day, uh, one month, and the next month they'll be in some stupid adult, practically X-rated movie, and they don't care. So a lot of them don't. Not everybody, but a lot of them. And so that's what's always so sad about seeing an old actor that you kind of like dying. And even to me, not even the good ones in a sense. Now, I'm not saying that none of these guys are good actors. Robert Duvall, I kind of liked him just because of Down to Earth Manor, but a lot of the movies that he was in, I'm not really that enthralled with, right? But I kind of like to see him pop up every so often or whatever. Um, but actually, I liked him pretty good, even in comparison. You might have something like somebody like a Dennis Hopper, and Dennis Hopper to me, when he was young, he played these kind of yucky, scummy bad guys. It was that time in the later '60s and into the '70s, where they just kind of played this scummy, was clean cut and good guy, straight up bad guy. It was kind of these slimy, kind of pervy, sleazy guys or whatever that a lot of them weren't like real bad guys. They were just kind of and but a lot of these actors, the lower even to me, they're I call them like lower tier actors, right? You'd watch them and over the years of seeing them everywhere, you kind of got to like them later, but you kind of didn't like them most of the time because the roles they played were dirty, yucky, no good kind of thing. Not just I'm not talking about just like straight up villains. I'm just talking about the kind of villains they were, the kind of you know the time in the 70s where they're making westerns and everybody's all dirty and grimy and kind of disgusting and whatever, and you're just like that. I don't like watching that crap. And so some of these actors, which always a lot of the time showed up even on TV and low budget movies and stuff, you kind of watch them and you kind of like, oh man, I don't like that guy, you know. And but then later on in like the 2000s and onward, you start hearing about these guys dying. You're like, oh, that's too bad. Why? Because there's nobody that even seems like a decent person anymore, right? So it's like it's not that the fact that some of these guys aren't going to die. I mean, 95, that's pretty long time. If they're in the 80s and 90s, later on, they're going to die at some point. But it's just the fact that we're left with the woke ones. We're left with the Robert De Niro's. Although Robert De Niro, he's one of the older guys, so he might not have that much longer. Although he looks kind of more healthy than the rest of them, so he might still have some years left. But I'm just saying that some of these guys, um, it's like we're not left with any kind of decent person that's still an actor, but that's also kind of like decent, right? That's what's sad about it. Anyways, I just went off on a tangent for no reason at all, just because I heard um, Robert Duvall is trending on X, formerly known as Twitter. Anyways, so here, let me social stream. Here we go. Good film needs a good villain. Yep, that's true. Welcome to the stream. I didn't notice you there because I didn't have the social stream dashboard up or nor any of the chat ones. I got 4 different chat windows. I have to make sure that they're popped out, and then for social stream ninja to work, and then I have to make sure it's on top, and then sometimes I'm just working. Anyways, today I haven't really done that much toward the game. I've been looking around as far as stuff goes that I'm going to use to kind of visually spice up the stream for those that actually watch the stream instead of just listen to it. And you're fine. You can still listen to it. I don't care. I'm not. I'm not. I don't have a problem. In fact, I don't have a problem with. I don't have a. It's not a problem. That's not the word I'm looking for. There's not. I don't need to. I don't need to solicit people that like to listen. That like to just come in and listen and not watch. And I don't mean that in a way that I don't want them coming in here and listening. I mean that in a way that um, for the most part they'll come in and they'll listen. Somebody will listen to something, and even if I'm doing some boring text on screen, if I'm telling my story and they find the story interesting, they'll stay and watch it. So the voice part is not really a problem, especially since I talk too much, right? So So I'm trying to make the visual parts so people that come on YouTube and they pop in and they see, oh, this guy has a few viewers. Then you know, uh, let's go in here, and then they come in for a minute. They see I'm talking with ChatGPT, like I'm about to here in a sec, and then they go, and then they click off and they do something else. So the ones I really have to vie for are the ones that won't watch because it's not visually interesting enough to watch. To get them to stay, the retention part is a little bit different than how do I say it? There's long term to retention and there's short term retention. The short term is like where you have your thumbnail and they click on you, and you want something interesting enough for them to stay clicked on you for a little bit. Even if they don't stay for a long time, they watch you a little bit, they get an idea. Um, and then there's the long term ones. The long term ones are the ones that were they watch you for about half an hour or something, and it's there's nothing for them on there, and they stop watching, and then they never come back. Why? Because it's boring. It's not going to become not boring. Anyways, I'm still trying to figure out what um, what I'll need to actually to make it interesting so people come in. You know, they only come in if they hear it, right? They only hear it is if they have already seen it and like it enough to tell others about it. You know, other than somebody that comes in and into like YouTube, say for instance, and then the algorithm shows them something similar, and I'm in there somewhere. But you know what? Another thing that gets kind of annoys me, and it shouldn't annoy me because it's nobody's fault and it's nobody's real problem. But whenever I go into YouTube, in fact, I'll do it right now. Whenever I go into YouTube, look at this art with a heavy dose of basing sketching. Actually, this art thing here, he's got 47 watching, so that doesn't bother me as much. Let's see, what do we got here? Live art. Okay, actually, art ones is not kind of directly competing with me. Kind of. I mean, I'd be kind of competing with them for getting people to watch, and people are more likely to watch people doing art than somebody typing text in. Um, let's see if we can find one. How to design a VTuber art. This is one watching. Anyways, the point is the thing that annoys me the most, and I guess it shouldn't, is when I get on YouTube and they're streaming when I'm streaming, and they only have one or two views themselves, you know. So I'm competing against all these people. Like, okay, so it's hard to compete against a bunch of people that have tons and tons of views, right? Tons of viewers, a couple hundred, or even more, say more than 10 or whatever. Um, and so it's kind of hard to compete against those guys. And then you got people have got work, people have got school, people are playing games that you're making a game is probably not as interesting as the game they're playing. That's all fine and dandy. Um, but then uh, but then not only do I have to figure out how to get people to want to watch, I have to compete with these guys with like 1 and 2 viewers. I'm like, man, you streaming at the time I'm streaming at. Quit streaming so I can stream. I know it's not a big deal. It's it's kind of tongue in cheek, but it's also kind of annoying too when I see it. I have to say that. I know it's just me being selfish or whatever, or dumb basically. Just me being dumb. But it's just I don't know. I see a couple people on here, game dev streamers, making a game in Godot no less, and they have like 1 or 2 viewers. I'm like, I only have 1 or 2 viewers. In fact, sometimes I don't even have the one viewer. Sometimes you're not even in here, Rook. Sometimes it's just like one person, and I'm like, oh man. I know, it's petty and it's stupid, but it's the truth also. Testing this cat myth. New video game systems in 1989. Ooh, the Sega Genesis, or as you would call it, the Mega Drive. And honestly, I don't know. Half the time, I don't know why they figure that these name changes in between regions. I mean, I kind of understand, sort of, but I had a feeling that if they had called it the Genesis in the UK, you all you people in the UK and Europe would know exactly what it was and would still like the console just as much as if it had been called the Mega Drive. And the same thing is if the Mega Drive, if it was called the Mega Drive here, we wouldn't know it was called the Genesis anywhere else, right? So it's one of those weird things. It's where they name something else, or they name a series, or they name a game something else in another region, and you're like looking at it and going, why did they name it that? Why did they name it that different thing or whatever? And you're like, they could have used the same name over the whole thing. Oh, there's an old movie that we watched. What was the movie? Maybe I can actually get Brave Leo to actually come up and tell me because I know it was called Indiscretion in the UK or in Britain or whatever, but here it was called something else. There's an old 30s or 40s movie called that was named Indiscretion. Is it? Maybe it's Indiscretion. yeah, indiscretion. Uh, in the UK, but here it was entirely something different. And the movie didn't have to do with anything you would think in discretion. What was the name of that movie? No, no, it's not that. Uh, I'll have to do this. Maybe this can. Dang it. Uh, I don't even think it was a book publisher leaves him for a wealthy man. No, it wasn't like that way. That's what I was talking about. Um, what movie was it? Just watch it, and it's kind of a it's a comedic. It's like a 30s or 40s. Dang it, what was that? Just watch a Bob Hope movie that's a Universal that I'd never seen before. It was Fred Astaire. No, Bob Hope. It might have been that because we just watched a movie with Bob Hope in it, and it was for Universal Pictures instead of Paramount. No, that's not what I said though. But it was one. I thought it was Bob. It might not have been Bob Hope. No, it had to have been Bob Hope because I remarked how it wasn't. Oh no, no, Bing Crosby. That's right. We just we just saw this Bing Crosby. Uh, now films. Oh, the movie was made. Uh, the movie wasn't Bob Hope. It was a Bing Crosby movie. He was also Paramount, but did this movie for Universal. Just, I know I'm wasting time. I wish I just remembered what movie it was. It was just totally not what the movie was about. Well, if I had my way, that no, East Side of Heaven was the one. Uh, okay, was East Side of Heaven called something different in the UK? If it was even distributed there. How many 1930s and 1940s US movies were titled something different in the UK? Dang it, I was trying to find the one that I was. Obsession, Great Train Robbery. No, sorry, I can't think of it. Anyways, I don't even know why I talked about that. Why am I going off on that? I need to get back to my game related stuff, even if I don't actually work on the game today. Sorry about that. To anybody that's watching it, Kick looks like it had at least another viewer, but it looks like they left also. So yeah. Anyways, world map. Okay, world map. Even if it's wrong, that's right. So the Triz board I'm gonna use to make the map with. Um. Anyways, this is a deal from there, and they're just different little rooms. Okay. Major Chisboard IO update. There was new features, improved quality of life enhancements. That was January 21st. Now I know we're a month later almost, but SVG export. You can now export your maps to SVG files, giving you scalable vector graphics crisp at any size. Perfect for including maps in documents or printing at high resolution. That's something that might be interesting for me. Inform 6 code generator. Markdown support. Note text, room names, and subtitles. Object now support limited markdown formatting, giving you more control over how your text appears on the map. Note text also respects line feeds now. Map scrolling. You navigate your maps more intuitively with mouse wheel zooming. Scroll up to zoom in, scroll down to zoom out. In addition, the map canvas now features scroll bars for easier navigation, especially for useful for larger maps. Okay, toast notifications. Connection names are now properly included in generated code. Okay. Inner map rendering, redesign UI, improve tool under the hood. I want to see some. Where am I at anyway? What page am I on? Just the get started page, huh? If I launch app, it goes to the page where I start building. Add room, add note, add block. What's a block for? Let's see. Do we have instructions for this thing? Map settings. Render settings. Okay, code generation. See, it's got all these different code generators for different, helps you make things for different text adventure game deals. Textadventure.js, huh? File. Help, I see. Then we got the help file or the help thing. It's too bad that doesn't have like documentation. Zoom in, zoom out. Help. Um, let's see if there's any support pages for Trisport. How come that's trisboard.com? What is the deal with that? Okay, that's still the same guy, right? Profile. This still doesn't tell you things that you sent to somebody. Like, yeah, I don't know. If I tweet to somebody, I don't know. Who do I have? Who do I follow? Uh, following. Who am I following? Yeah. Here, McDub from Redot. Um, uh, I'm just tweeting to you to see if it shows up on my profile because apparently I don't have any record of any tweets to anyone specifically. Post. Okay. Now, your post is sent. Profile. Oh. So that shows up as replies. That's interesting. Okay, no problem. All right. I'll just close this right now. I want to do this. I know I'm asking whatever. Uh, so trizbort.com is the desktop app, and .io is just the web version. Pardon me. Don't like sneezing. What's the difference between them? I wouldn't mind downloading it. Windows application. Okay. So I couldn't download the application anyways. Only Windows. Huh? Smart. Probably GitHub, I suppose. Yep, this is it. Minor mono. The potential UI functionality issues. It's fine. The Windows version looks fine, anyways. Are there any other pages dedicated to sport.io with like maps and stuff I can view in the web version? Interesting. That would make a decent okay. Thanks. When I say okay, usually it means repeat the last answer. Oh, so now you can find one. Oh, okay. Uh, I guess I can look at the PDFs of some of these. Hmm, okay. All right. At least I can Oops. Hmm, interesting. All right. That's good. That's good enough. That's good enough. I think. Fun games on Reddit. Ginstein. I don't know what his real name is, but interesting. Okay. That's all right. If I go here, though, it's just the Dell and Zip. Yeah, only for Windows. 5 years, 3 years ago. Oh, interesting. I love to get back to my features. Time permits. Reddit. I have to control plus it just to see. Allow. Oops. I'm not trying to upload anything. And it's not working now. Freaking load. Let's open that in a new tab. Interesting. Okay. All right. Let's close that. Actually, you know what? Let's pull this off here. Just everything on my little TV that I'm using as a secondary monitor is like dim. This got, I guess, HDR, and it's got all kinds of goofy stuff in this. This just like looks like dimmer and not as great looking. Okay. Okay, I get it. See, right. CTA is call to action. Okay. Okay. I'm gonna go ahead and close this, I guess. I'm gonna close this too because I'm not doing anything today with that. We'll see. Okay, no-go areas, disappearance clusters. You can revise it later. Viewers like seeing world logic emerge. Okay. Yeah, I didn't think about that. There's several villages that Zanzibar visits, the Max visits, several places. Um, I haven't figured out based on. It's going to be based on the description though, whether the dwarf mines in the Gnome Kingdom are adjacent. Well, they're adjacent, but are adjacent. Does that imply? Does adjacent imply side by side or up and down? Does it imply a direction, or just adjacent meaning close to each other? Let me ask that. Does "sent" just mean next to each other, or does it imply direction? Probably means to next to or immediately neighboring something else. It originates from Latin word adjacens, meaning lying near. While it often implies physical closeness, it does not necessarily specify direction, only proximity. Okay. Inherently implies specific directions such as left to right, front or back, behind. Instead, it refers broadly to things that are close, contiguous, or sharing a boundary. For example, two rooms connected by a door are adjacent, regardless of whether one is to the right, left, right, or behind the other. States of California and Nevada are adjacent because they share a border, not because one lies in particular comes direction relative. However, some contexts adjacency can involve directional language, such as when describing towns located in the same direction from a reference point. This context dependent, not a core part of the definition. The adjacent buildings share a wall. The adjacent pages in a book. The adjacent months. Um, in my game, um, the dwarves and gnomes share a boundary. How come? It's probably dwarfs with the F, but when I'm thinking of leaves, I don't say leaves, I say leaves. Boundary. Dwarfs and gnomes share a boundary, and I haven't decided whether it's north to south or east to west. So I'm saying adjacent, but adjacent always adjacent always seems to imply east to west, which is why I was asking. You want to specify alignment, cardinally adjacent, or simply to state the direction. Directly east of the Dwarven Kingdom. Okay. Uh, okay, so yeah, the gnomes and the dwarves, I haven't really decided whether it's going to be north to south orientation or east to west. I said that the dwarves have their their mines are in the north in the mountains, and then the gnomes, I assume, then are south because of that. I mean, it doesn't have to directly be like directly north and south or directly east and west. Obviously, it could be to like an angle or a corner or something, or it could be like sweep it around or whatever. But in my mind, I was just thinking, you go north to go to the dwarf mines. Um, you go south to enter the gnome kingdom, and they're underground, of course. The entrance. Now that's another thing that can be. The entrance can be to the north, and but uh, the actual areas can actually be side by side if I wanted them to be. In fact, it could go in a spiral staircase down into the depths, and then like turn around on itself. In other words, you could go north and then keep going around until you hit the ground floor, and then actually start walking south into the dwarf mines. Actually, it might do that. That might not be a bad idea too. Um, so Lapswood would be where night school is, the quadrant that night school's in. I don't know if I want to go as far as calling them worlds like Disney World, or lands. I mean I could like deliberately copy it because it would kind of make it kind of tongue in cheek, that I was sort of picking on Disney, um, like Nightland and uh, Wizardland and Princess Land and Fairy Godland. I mean, maybe I should just do that. I don't know. It seems like I don't know. It seems kind of silly, and I don't mean silly like in like you're trying to be funny. I mean silly as in it's silly. It sounds dumb to call them that, even though I'm trying to be dumb, I guess, or I'm just trying to be goofy or whatever. So maybe that's the extra campy, the extra goofiness that should go into it, because to show I'm kind of deliberately ripping off, Disney or whatever. Anyways, we'll say we'll say that both the Gnome Kingdom and the dwarven mines uh, are located around Knight's Land. And I could always do something like Wizard World. Uh, I could leave Fairy Godland the way that is. You know, Princess Plaza or something. Princess, I don't know. I'll have to think of that. I'll have to think of names for the areas. Just make them all lands like Disneyland. Fantasyland, Frontierland, Tomorrowland, um, Adventureland. Anyways, chapter progress dashboard. Now this is the thing that I'm thinking of. Maybe I need a web page for. I need to create a web page for it. Maybe I don't know. Can you do custom web pages on itch.io or um, it's just a space to have your game. I don't even have IO slash. That's good. Let's see if my thing is still in here. Nope. Let's see if I can search for. That's good. Okay. Fgood.itch.io. I see. It's not slash. It's it. You know, it's been ages since I actually logged into itch.io. So okay. Oh, looks like I have a thing here. Oh, McDub liked my post. So I figured out what that was though. Follow Fgood. You want to follow me on itch.io? I should probably have my itch.io link on Wallball, one player Pong. That's a game that I made in GDevelop. Um, here. I created it in 2017. Imagine that. It's almost 10 years old. Let me see something here. Okay, good, good, good. One, you got followed. I got somebody followed me. Let's go back to my profile. Or let's go back to my profile. There we go. Okay, yeah, I guess I can pull this back on the screen here. Yeah, I'm not doing fake text mode right now, and it's Wallball. I'm not using GDevelop right now either. View creator page. Dashboard. I don't care about it. Blue sky. I'm never going to blue sky. Uh, 9 followers. And my feed are Prince of Prussia. Uh, okay. These are people that I followed in their update pages. Manage my games. Earnings. I shouldn't have any earnings at all. Nope, nothing. I have. Oh, I don't even have PayPal connected to it. That's all right. Post. That was draft. That was a draft. Huh. Big text mode, Hangman. This is oh yeah, that's right. This was Hexflixel or Hexflixel, I guess. I did it in my fake text mode. It was kind of cool. I couldn't with Hexflixel. I could not do like things like input and stuff. It was kind of weird the way things worked. I couldn't do. I for some reason I could not figure out a way of giving it uh a sort of a what was it? It was like the back scroll. It was like I don't know, displaying like a terminal, I guess. Like I could display stuff. I could have it like do stuff. when like you clicked on something and I could have you draw on the screen. It would do blinkies and stuff, but it would only be like a rendering thing. It wasn't like a you type in like you'd have your input scroller thing. That's kind of weird. How come I couldn't do that? Because it would just be interactive like you would find anything. I mean, I'd have to build it. I'd have to have like what do you call that? Anyways, that you can do a back scroll on, right? Uh, um, what do they call that? Like a buffer or something. Anyway, some sort of a buffer that where you could type stuff in, and so where it would take your keys and allow you to input the keyboard text, like you could type stuff in. But I could still do that. It'd just be a straight up rendering engine. Hmm. I wonder what my problem was with that because I don't even remember now. Anyways, I'm wasting time. I know. Okay, let's not worry about that. Chapter progress dashboard. So I would actually need I need a page, like here. Um, what did uh, yeah, the last thing was 2016, so this is 10 years old here. Remember Pong Adventure? I don't know if any of you anybody that's ever seen me is ever remembers Pong Adventure, but there it is. Uh, ballsy. So this is using WordPress and it's using a really old theme and everything. So I'd have to create essentially a new web page. Chapter name, status drafting, decision point visualizer. Draw a small branching diagram. Show all paths to rejoin. Uh, I kind of have. I mean, I got the editor running, and it has my choices, and it does show what cards link with what cards. Story phase relevance. Rotate through them as characters enter the narrative. Yeah, character cards. I should start. I don't know. Yeah, I could focus on a character. I still have to have some time where. Why is that like that? I still have to have some time where um where I would just do stuff like that. I work on characters. I work on sketches of characters. I don't know if I could even draw anything that would be even passable for anything. Look like crap, I think. I could attempt something though, sometime. And I need to do it in such a way that it doesn't impede my progress. That is, I'm not just kind of spinning my wheels, so to speak. Switch to sketching, update map, adjust the diagram, visual changes. What you missed panel. You're not entertaining spectacle yet. You're inviting viewers into the thinking. Visual structure makes that readable. Doesn't need polish. It needs shape, motion, and context. Okay. Hmm. I only have 30 minutes, and I should probably work a little bit on the game, which I'll do that in just a second. Okay. Yeah. I almost don't want to draw on the screen. Not because it's terrible, but because I don't even know if anything readable would come out. Is because of my poor pen control. Because of my poor pen control, I don't know if I could make something that someone could make something out of. You don't need drawing to get visual clarity. There are none. Typed mind maps, character cards, flow charts instead of sketches, silhouettes versus shapes, color mood, timeline bars, and then there is images, right? I guess I could always also come up with a board, some sort of visual presentation, or some actual tool where I would put up what my character looks like, inspirations and such. Inspirations. Not exact look. Color palette, strip, keywords. Hmm. Inspirations. Naming. Hmm. So what are the best apps, web or not, for that I can run on Linux Mint and is basically free? Um, Anything other than Pinterest? Fine. Yeah, but I think Miro, I think is, it says it's free. Let's look at their pricing, I guess. Single workspace with 3 editable boards and structured formats. I don't care about the apps. Layers. Layers. Okay, so that would actually help. I guess if they all have a free option anyways, and I understand the Milanote. Yeah, I've seen Milanote before. What are you pricing though? I don't care if I can try it out for free. I want to know how much you charge. There we go. 100 notes, images, or links. 10 file uploads. Yeah. Well, 100 notes, images, or links might not cut it. I mean, not that I'll have like millions of images or millions of things, but if I can only have a max of that, you know, that's only 10 images per character or whatever, you know what I mean? Or combinations or up there or yeah, that's not a thing that shows pictures. Okay, my maps, I get it. Inkscape. That's probably not free. This says free, but pricing. They all have pricing. Subscription plans. Oh, it's supposed to be free, and yet how does that make that free? How does it become free? Try online for free? Okay. Free. Yeah. Who cares about that? Hmm. I don't know. I'm just, okay. I'm not gonna worry about this one. Honestly, I wonder if there is a way. What's the easiest way to create a web page or set of web pages? I have some space online and an old WordPress blog I've used since 2016. Um, but since I'll probably be starting over, what's the quickest, easiest way? WordPress. One click install on most hosts, pick a clean theme, delete everything else. Okay. Treat like wiki, not a blog, right? Right, plain markdown, push site updates, totally free, no server maintenance. You never used it. GitHub pages. Easiest visual builder, no code. Google Docs, HTML export. Export is HTML. Okay. Obsidian plus publish. Hmm. Okay, with the So what if I wanted to create sort of board functionality where I could just drag in images and notes. If that takes significant programming, um, yeah, that's pure drop-in board via HTML plus JS, something like Excel self-hosted. Excel. I don't think Excel is. If I even have it in here somewhere. No, this is. Oh. Realize I could work into X would draw. Possible. Yeah, I have to check current WordPress plugins. See if I could find something I could use. I'm thinking of this because I was looking at progress bars earlier. Just something I could show on a stream to update my progress, a game progress, and a number of three options is via code, either HTML or CSS or some such, to plug into your site. If I remember right, I can insert some JavaScript into my WordPress pages, I think. And was thinking of a page for status updates. Show the status of and visual words, and that's fully doable with mixes existing tools and small embeds. Excel supports importing images and adding text and shapes. You can save, export boards as files or share public embeds. Your static site at WordPress supports iframes. You can embed the board and update displays. Advantage live visual canvas without building it yourself. And that is kind of what I need. I need something where I can just like I can grab some, I can drag some pictures and like drop them in and. Paste it directly in a WordPress bot custom HTML. Update the percentage as you progress. Okay, where is the actual percentage? Oh, it just meaning I can type in the number the width is 45%, and it would automatically. That's not a bad idea. I mean, I could just do that too. But I'll have to come up with a page, probably. JavaScript enhanced counter. If you want animation, probably don't need animation. WordPress plugins that fits. You can search for Progress Bar, Skill Bar, embed block plugins, iframe embedder, custom HTML/JS block support. Elementor lets you build visual sections easily. Progress Bar plugins, advanced iframe, status, phase count, current chapter, percent complete. Progress bar, visual boards, embedded Excalibur, draw inspiration boards via iframe or image gallery, notes and logs. Presents limits on visits, updates without publishing edits. These tools like markdown files and GitHub pages. Let me look up something. GitHub pages. Why did it change on me? Huh, okay. Runs the file through a build process, publishes a website. Examples collection. Let's look at the examples collection. Um, how come? Huh. Okay, so I don't know if I understand GitHub pages anyways. Um, I tried looking at GitHub pages, but the examples were just standard GitHub pages. I don't really understand. Pre-hosting automatically serves a username. How come I'm not logged in? would like an example that actually works, because all I'm seeing right now is a standard GitHub repo. Um, no, 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 no. No, I mean, can you link me to some pages that are served on GitHub pages? Yeah, I went there. Went to their examples. There's a list. I clicked on the first one, ES/bootstrap, and what I'm presented with is a GitHub page. Okay. With all the source of the project, not a web page from it. Not a web page, not a, it's a web page. Okay, there we go. Hmm. How do I find the linked web pages from the, how do I find the linked web pages? I don't know what I'm looking at. Usually at the bottom of the sidebar, settings pages, or settings. Okay. Oh, Okay, I see. So in general, MD. Okay, I get it. So in general, there usually some domain name linked directly because they're actually serving web pages just like any provider, any web host. When a repo has it enabled, takes it files from either root or the docs folder or the GH pages branch and serves them like any normal website. Okay. Okay. Hmm. So GitHub pages or WordPress. Hmm. Free, no ads, no plugins needed, full control. Static dashboard supports progress bars, meta canvases, version control. No built-in blog or CMS features like you have to code updates or use Markdown. Slight learning curve if you're not familiar. Less beginner friendly for non-technical edits. That's for dev dashboard, static pages, submitted pre-production, documentation pages. Beginner friendly built-in content management. Plugins for everything. Can update pages visually, but that's the thing that can get bloated or slow. Plugins sometimes break or stop being maintained. Free version may have ads or limited customization, less control over exact HTML, CSS unless you dig in. Best for blog style devlogs. Kind of heavy sites that need visual editing when you want to drag and drop without touching code. I do have some main names. So, and I have some web hosting space. So what do you recommend? Directly pointing DNS to a GitHub pages subdomain, or maybe just a landing page that directs people to my GitHub pages page. Yeah. Hmm. Just type your domain, go directly to your live page. landing page on your hosting. Passport@yourdomain.com. GitHub pages. Maybe I'll think about that. It's 3:30. I guess I have to quit now. I didn't do anything today. That's great. Uh, okay. I'll consider it. I could probably configure my WordPress site to act like a regular website rather than just a blog, right? So as a blog site, you can configure it as a full website. Key steps. Many modern for your page themes are built for static pages, portfolios, or dashboards. That when flexible, create pages instead of posts. Use pages for static content, dashboards, boards, character references. Use posts only if you want devlogs or updates in chronological order. Set a static home page. Static page. Choose which page. Yeah, that's right. I forgot. Navigation menu. Build a menu. Link your pages. Plugins optional. Your WordPress site can function like a static site or dashboard with multiple pages. Navigation. Yeah, I'll think about it. Thanks. I also have a link. Okay. I'll think about it. Thanks. All right. Well, thanks for anybody that popped in here. I know I didn't actually do anything today. This is actually a true thing where I didn't actually make any progress today, in the sense that I didn't actually actively work on. I got these two. I got these two progress bar generator pages here, and yeah. So I guess we'll try tomorrow, and tomorrow I should actually do some work. So thanks for dropping by. Thanks for bearing with me. So see you tomorrow. Thank you for watching part 2.